Welcome back to the Celtics Nation Rise podcast. I'm your host, Griffin Aldridge,
I'm your co-host, Luis Gomez.
I'm your co-host, Kyle Sullivan.
and we got a special guest here today. Ian, what's up, man?
How's it going? I'm doing good. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for coming on the podcast. So, just before we start, the Boston Celtics lost to the Raptors last night. Tough game. How you feeling about that?
Yeah, that was not a fun game. That was not a fun game to watch. I think that's probably the extent of where I can go with that. Yeah, it's been tough. It's been a tough watch for the Celtics recently. So hoping they bounce back.
Do you think there should be like a panic button? Because we've been talking about this. Where are you in point of that?
Yeah, so at first, like a couple weeks ago, when they were also struggling, I was kind of at the point where, it's January. It's a long season. They're going to have times where they struggle. They're not going to be winning every single game like they did last year, and that's fine. No team wins every single game. Um, but I can say I'm a little past not concerned at all, and I'm probably more a tad bit concerned at this moment, just because it's still happening
Yeah,
over ever since like December. It's been still happening. So, I'm not 100% pushing a panic button or anything, but it's definitely cause for concern.
I agree.
Do
I like
you
that.
For sure.
do, do you think it's like mental what's going on recently, or what do you think it is?
I'm not 100% sure what it is, honestly. I mean, the biggest thing, at least with their offense, they have not been shooting the three ball the same that they have
Yeah,
last year. Almost every single person is down from their 3-point percentage last year, except Peyton Pritchard. Um, and that's been an issue. I mean, they shot 38% as a team last year, which is insane. It was second in the NBA. And this season they're shooting 36, which is around the middle of the road. So, if you're going to be a middle of the road shooting team at the volume that the Celtics shoot their threes at, teams are going to be able to stay in games with you and, you're going to sometimes lose those games.
I agree. And
and
John Mazzulla, he lives and dies by the three ball. And if we're not hitting those threes, obviously you see the outcome of that. Like it's gonna determine a lot of games for us for sure. And it's tough. It really is. Um, we've talked about this with our other co-host, Ryan. He's been kind of pinpointing players to blame. I don't think there's a player to blame. I think it's just a team effort. We are not the Boston Celtics team that we were last year that you were seeing with this full starting five. Like the starting five is not doing what they were doing last year. That's like the issue, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna quote one of my favorite movies, Basketball. It says, it was a team effort to lose this one. It's been a team effort as to them not playing very well as of recently. So I wouldn't blame one particular person. Like there are particular players that are struggling more than others, and that can be, cause for concern either way. But I don't really think it's one particular person's fault. I think it's just a multitude of things all happening at the same time that is just causing the Celtics to not be able to do anything right now.
I agree. I agree. It's tough for sure. So tell us about yourself. Why would you consider yourself a Celtics super fan? When did you start watching the team? Just tell me that whole background. I'm curious to know.
Yeah, so I grew up in Massachusetts, obviously, and as you live in Massachusetts, you probably are going to watch Boston sports. And so growing up when I was a kid, I normally watched more baseball than anything. So I watched a lot of Red Sox and a lot of that, but I would always keep up with the Celtics. I kept up with them winning the championship in 2008, but I was pretty young, so I don't remember a whole lot of that. But once I got to high school and once Isaiah Thomas was really the face of the Celtics at that point when he was having his MVP season, that's when I really started to pay more attention to the Celtics closely. And ever since then, I've just been hooked on the Celtics. I've watched pretty much every game every year, and I mean, I don't think I'd have it any other way at this point. It's been a fun ride to say the least.
I love it. So my question is, what was so I knew you from the Celtics TikToks, the obviously after the game, the stats and stuff. What was the influence kind of behind that TikTok?
So, okay, so I started that around the bubble. So it was the first game after the bubble. Um, it wasn't even something I planned to do, honestly. I was just bored. The game ended, and I'm like, hey, you know what? Why not use the song? It's a pretty good song. So I made a video like that, and it did pretty well. So I'm like, you know what? Why not do it for every game? And I did it every game through the bubble, every game next season, and all the way to now. And I didn't even expect it to really do anything. Honestly, it just kind of came up. It wasn't anything I was trying to planning to do. I wasn't planning to go viral with anything. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, it brought you places. Like you even did it on the main Celtics court last year, right? And center
Oh
court
yeah.
with
Yeah, I had a friend,
yeah, yeah,
Brandon Clay, who used to be the in-game entertainer for the main Celtics. So I've known him for a few years now, and
yeah.
a couple of
Wow,
years we've been able to make videos on the main Celtics court, and it's been pretty fun.
that's sick. Yeah, he's doing stuff for Boston College now, right?
I think so. I think he's a radio host somewhere too. He
Oh,
does
sick.
country music radio host.
That's so sick. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you went to the Maine Celtics game the other night. I obviously talk about them a lot because I live in Maine. So I've been to 9 out of 12 home games. I know
Oh
it's
yeah.
nuts, but what have you seen? Do you think we've also talked about this? Do you think obviously JD does a lot down there? Now I've heard different things from Celtics fans. Do you think he is one of those players that should maybe get some more playing time with the Celtics, or do you think he kind of when he's with the Celtics falls apart?
See, I don't know. It's kind of interesting with JD because, like you say, he is incredible in Maine. Like he puts up insane scoring numbers. He's, one of the better players in the G League right now. However, I don't know. It's just his skill set doesn't really seem to fit the Celtics. He's kind of a shorter guard who can't really shoot the three ball that well. And if you can't really shoot on a team that has a lot of guard depth, then you're just not really going to have much of a role. I think the only way that JD ever somehow gets consistent minutes on the Celtics is if you get injuries to guys like Drew Holiday, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, Jalen Brown, all those guys. And, it's just like out of necessity at that point. So, but that's not any disservice to JD Davison because he's a very talented player. I just don't think it's just kind of impossible to crack the Celtics rotation if you're like a rookie or a younger, guard that isn't very established. Like just look at Baylor Shireman too. Like he's an older kind of rookie, but at the same time, you know, it's hard for him to crack. It's hard for guys like Jordan Walsh to crack, Drew Peterson, like
Yeah.
all of these guys who would probably be somewhat rotation players on most teams in the NBA just don't really have a spot right now.
If you had to pick one of those players that you think eventually will get some playing time, like not Walsh, because obviously he's been getting a lot of minutes with the Celtics this year, who would you say from that group kind of might get that opportunity somewhere down the line? If you had to like give a guess.
I would probably go with Jordan Walsh. I think he would probably be the guy. I think him and guys like Baylor Shireman are going to be needed for the Celtics moving forward just because the Celtics aren't going to, they're going to be, pressed up hard against the cap, and you're going to lose some bench depth over time. So you're going to need your draft picks like Walsh, like Shireman to kind of, I wouldn't say like be, super role players or anything, but just as long as they're like, suitable players that can give you 15 minutes off the bench and just be able to be, a regular role player in the NBA. I feel like that's going to be huge for the Celtics. And I think Jordan Walsh probably has the best chance of it out of anybody to probably be that guy. I mean, he's already plays pretty great defense
Yeah.
for a guy who's only like 20 years old. And so, he's, I don't know if his offensive game can improve the way that it's kind of been improved. His 3-point shot's a lot better this year. He looks a lot more confident taking them when he does play. So I'd probably have more faith in him making a legitimate impact in the future.
I like that. Yeah, I agree. I've seen a lot of good things from him. Obviously, just drafted him this year, but still a lot of good things. One more question, I'll let them ask you some questions. If you would like to see one move the Celtics make before trade deadline, would there be a move, or you think we're all good?
See, I do think that they need a move. There's not a whole lot of players out there that the Celtics can really easily trade for, but I feel like the best player, if they were to do this, would probably be Walker Kessler in Utah. He's
Oh,
probably the best player available at the price point that the Celtics can really use. Uh, I think the person that they would have to probably look to trade is Springer, but his $4 million contract is probably the only big contract that the Celtics have at this point that is easily tradable. So if you're looking for the best possible player for that price range, I would probably go with Walker Kessler, and he would help the Celtics rebounding. He would help the Celtics defense, and I think he would be a pretty solid fit. And if you could run lineups with Kessler and Porzingis and Tatum and Horford or whatever, like that's going to be an insanely huge lineup that not a whole lot of teams are going to be able to stop.
I like that move. That would be it. I like that. I like that idea. Kyle, you have any questions or just thoughts?
Um, yeah, I have one. Who's like your favorite Celtics player like all time? If you
All
had one.
times. So that's kind of tough, honestly. Now, Isaiah Thomas was the one that got me into the Celtics,
Yeah.
so I'd probably him, but Jason Tatum is also
Oh yeah.
also up there. Probably one of those two. It can
Yeah.
it can switch back and forth for sure.
Lewis, what about you? Any questions you got?
Yeah, this is more personal. When did you realize that you were like getting fame, like you were blowing up in social media?
So honestly, so since I started it around like COVID times in the bubble, like, I would see the numbers on social media, but like, it's just like random numbers on the internet, who's
Yeah.
actually gonna know who you are. The first time I ever got noticed, it was game four, I think, of the Brooklyn Nets. The first time the Celtics played the Brooklyn Nets when it was only Tatum back in the 2021 playoffs.
Mm.
Um, that was the first game out of COVID, so it was the first time TD Garden had full capacity. I went to that game, and I didn't even get like out of my car, out of the parking garage, and somebody already knew who I was walking down the street. And then like throughout the game, just everybody in the stadium just looking at me like, "Hey, you're that guy from TikTok videos and stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." That was probably the first time I was ever like, "Damn, like people actually like know who I am from these videos," which is still something I find crazy even like this day, like 5, 6 years later.
I know, and
How did it
That's
feel?
awesome.
How,
It was nuts. It's insane.
That's
I still
crazy.
I still find it crazy today. Like I was just at the Celtics Pelicans game and like there's people. I met somebody from Illinois that came to the Celtics game and watched my
wow.
content. Like that's insane. I had people at the main Celtics game who knew who I was. It's kind of crazy that I get people from everywhere who watch my content and it's still crazy.
I will admit, I was one of those people at Red Sox winter weekend. I met you a couple years ago, and I was like, "Yo, that's Ian." I was like to my brother, I was like, "No way, that's Ian." I was like, "Go up and get a picture." I was so hyped, bro. Yeah, I know. And then I saw you at a Celtics game once. Like I gave you a fist. See, I swear, some games I go to, I'm like, "Oh, there's Ian." No way. I saw you at the Celtics last year. I even hit you up because I'm like, dude, the one game I don't go to at the main Celtics, you're there. I'm like, come on, man.
I know it was
Up.
it was
How are your
funny.
seats there?
Oh, it was great. I sat courtside there. It was pretty
They're cheap.
sick.
They're cheap, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper than sitting courtside at the real Celtics game.
Oh
So
yeah.
I can say
Yeah.
that.
Have you ever sat courtside there?
Never. That was the first time I have. I've sat pretty close before. I used to sit like right over the scorer's table
Oh,
before, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, that was the first time I ever sat courtside. That was really fun.
yeah. It was
Do
actually
you
funny. My friend and I got upgraded last year. Like we had really crappy seats, and we got upgraded to those. You know where they are? Those courtside seats right by the camera.
Yeah, yeah.
That was really cool. It's definitely a different experience for sure. Where's the closest you've been at a Celtics game, would you say?
Closest I've been to a Celtics game was honestly probably the Pelicans game on Sunday. I was like the NBC sports broadcast. I was maybe like row two of like the main loge. Like it wasn't the courtside seats. It was like row two of the of the actual loge section. Like it was insane. I was literally right behind Derek White at the end of the game when that 5 second violation happened.
Oh, you
Like I
probably
was I
you're
was
probably
standing right there. It was
That's
insane.
crazy.
all right. So what happened? Like, was he looking somewhere, or what the heck happened with that during the
Yeah, so I don't really know what that was, honestly. Like he was looking for somebody to pass it to, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Looking back, like I was filming the video and looking back, like he did call timeout like right at the 5 second mark, but I don't know. Normally referees just give him the timeout anyway, but I guess they just didn't want to this time. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Off basketball question. I know Lewis wants to hear this. You're a big Red Sox guy, obviously.
oh
Um,
yeah.
what do you think about their moves this offseason? We have a Yankees fan here, Kyle, don't
Jeez.
get rid of him. What do you think about the Red Sox? No, Lewis wants to hear this. Lewis definitely
Yeah.
wants to hear this one.
I'm a big fan of their moves. I love the Garrett Crochet move. He's insane. I think he's going to be great with the Celtics with the Red
Yeah,
Sox.
I know. We're on a
The
Celtics
Red Sox.
podcast and talking Red Sox.
Uh, but yeah, Crochet's going to be good. I like Walker Buehler. He's going to be good. I don't know. I still feel like they need to do more though. I feel like, the moves that they've made are good. You still need to sign a right-handed bat. You barely have any of those in your lineup, and I mean it'd be cool if they were going to be playing their prospects like Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell, but I would still want a guy like Alex Bregman or Nolan Arenado or somebody along those lines that can still be kind of a veteran presence because this team still really doesn't have much of that.
Who do you prefer, Nolan or Bregman?
I don't know. See, I would probably go Bregman, honestly. I feel like his swing would do really good at Fenway. I feel like he would just hit like a bunch of home runs in the monster. But Nolan Arenado can do the same exact thing. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
honestly, I'd be fine with either one. I mean, really, for Arenado, you would just kind of have to trade for him. So I don't really know what you'd have to give up for that. But Bregman, it's really just money, and it depends on if they want to actually spend the money. But I feel like Bregman would be easier get.
I know
Yeah.
we bully this guy all the time because he lost out on Soto. I know we did too, but whatever.
I don't think
Still
they were
not
ever
happy
really
about
in for
that.
Soto.
Um, I'm not trying to, blow the whole Sox money on him.
Yeah.
We're fine with what we did, we got cheap ace, he's gonna be good. Gotta give him the payday though. You gotta give him the payday for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, he needs an extension for sure.
Yeah, they gotta do that fast. So, we'll wrap it up soon. I know you're a busy guy. Uh, you got your own article now. How was that? How did that come about?
Yeah, so around like the middle of the off season, Celtics blog was looking for writers, just like staff writers, different kind of things. So I put an application in there. Didn't really know what to expect, and they kind of came back to me and they had me write like a mock kind of article, and so sent that in. They liked what wrote, and they gave me the job as a staff writer for Celtics blog, and that's been really fun. I've been able to recap a lot of the games. That's kind of most of the writing I do for the website, just recapping the games and just going over what happened. I've
That's
also written some like regular articles, like some of the favorite ones I've had were like writing about the Celtics on Christmas or, like Jason Tatum's Iron Man streak or whatever. Like, I don't know, just kind of stuff like that I think is really fun. And I've been having a good time with it.
I love it. I love it. So what, sorry, a few more questions. What do you want to see from the Celtics moving forward? Is there any goals that you want to see them accomplish? What do you want to see them do?
Well, I definitely like to see him win a championship again, but to get to that, it would be nice if they were able to, at least find their identity on offense at this point. They've just kind of been, it feels like they've been kind of lost. Still not concerned about it really, but at least hopefully maybe after the All-Star break, they're able to rattle off like a long win streak or something and be able to just kind of, steady the ship and be able to, show that they're still the Boston Celtics and they're still, someone to be feared of in the Eastern Conference.
Perfect.
I
Yeah.
feel like it's more like they're in a slump.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, everybody's in a shooting slump. It feels like everybody's having issues. Like the whole team is like shoots like 33% over the last like 5 or 6 games. It's been
Yeah.
bad. So
I think it has
they
to do with
gotta.
them coasting too, to be honest, in the playoffs and like them not
Oh
caring
yeah,
much about the regular season rather than the playoffs.
yeah. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, they just won a
Yeah.
championship. They
Yeah, exactly.
they got
Championship
they got
hangover.
time to coast
Yeah.
maybe, but as a fan, you don't really like
Yeah,
that because then
you don't
it
like to see
results
that.
in
Yeah,
it results in games like last night. But just as long as they're able to get it done in June, people
yeah,
aren't going to really remember how bad they played in January. So,
yeah,
Especially if they turn it around in a big way. Like you have big games coming up that you need to see them dominate. Like
yeah.
you have a tough schedule coming up, I'm not gonna lie, and you need to see them do good. Like I will forget the crappy basketball they've played if they turn it around in a big way and start playing good basketball against these scary teams, you could say. Like they're playing some big names, you know. So I love to see
oh
that.
yeah, they seem to get up for the big games. They'll get up for the big national TV games. But like any team, it's a long season. Who wants to play the Raptors in the middle of January on a
Yeah,
You're
on
right.
a
You're right.
Wednesday in the middle of
exactly.
January? So it's just kind of one of those things where it's like there are going to be some games where they're more locked in than others. I With all of the bigger games that they have coming up, it wouldn't surprise me if they get up for those games, at least for the West Coast trip when they have to face off against the Warriors and the Clippers and the Lakers and stuff like that.
I know this guy right here, Lewis, went crazy about Curry. Don't even start, Lewis. You're
Um,
this man yesterday. You don't
the
even.
biggest Curry hater ever.
Yeah. Listen, I get the hate, but you gotta respect the craft. You do. You do because this man has killed
I don't
us.
respect nothing.
Oh, there he goes again. There he
Why would I respect him? No.
goes again. There he goes again.
Listen,
He,
you can acknowledge his greatness, but at the same time, you can still hate him in the moment. I
Oh,
feel like that's
I
Yeah,
fair.
do. I do.
exactly.
I can't stand Curry ever since the finals
Yeah, the finals for
when he's the
sure.
proud daddy of the Boston Celtics. Nope.
Yeah, it's like
Nope. I
Yeah,
can't.
crazy.
it's
I
just
So
one
used
of
to
those things.
respect him a little, and
Well, it
and
worked out because you won. So
after he said that proud daddies of the Boston Celtics, I was like, no, yeah, get out of here.
so
He got lucky in that series, bro. He got lucky.
listen. I know we had Jack on and he was telling us how he was there when they won the championship and he was on the plane and he saw like all the confetti like the day of their parade and stuff. That must have been terrible. Especially because he got the Celtics tat. Oh
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I
that's probably
actually
horrible.
yeah, that was rough. At least you didn't have to wait too long to change it though, so
I
that's
know,
that's
Yeah,
yeah.
good.
I know he had that around and stuff. That's sick though for him. I know we had him on a couple of times and
yeah.
I love it. How he has the four on there now. That's sick.
Yeah, it's awesome. It was funny. I remember he texted me the day that he got it, and it was like I was like, "What are you doing?" But hey, it worked. I mean, it almost worked at least. Like they made it to the finals. They were, like 2 wins away from winning the championship at that point. So,
Yeah, they were
it
right
would have been
there.
hilarious if it worked out. But I mean, they ended up winning 1 2 years later. So he was, he was early. He wasn't.
Yeah.
He was just early.
How was your experience with the championship? Like, how did it feel for you? Like, how was that experience? Like with the parade and everything? Curious to know
Oh
all.
yeah, that was awesome. I've actually never been to a parade for any of the championships in Boston, so that was the first one. That was insane. I mean, I got there like super early in the morning just to like stand. I was outside TD Garden, so I
You
was there at
were
the
on the
beginning
other
of the
side.
parade. Yeah, I
That
was like on the other side of the street from the garden, and yeah, I mean, I was like, just seeing the parade coming out for the first time was nuts. I was in Boston when they won the championship. I was at Big Night Live, like right next to the Garden, so that was also pretty sick. Um, yeah, it was something I've never really experienced, but that was probably one of the happiest days that I've had. So,
I agree. I agree. I think for the parade when you saw all the confetti coming out, it was just so surreal and like I like kind of blacked out at that point. When I
Just like
saw
watching on TV too. Like the amount of people there was nuts.
they
There's
said
what
dude,
2 million people there, right, or something? I think there's a
it was
lot.
ridiculous. I'd
Wow.
never seen that many people in
Yeah,
one
so
place
many
before. It
people.
how
was
long did it take you to get out? It took us quick like we got right out, which was surprising.
Yeah, I was able to get out pretty quickly. I took the train in from Riverside, so all I had to do was kind of just fight my way over to North Station to be able to get back in. they closed off North Station and the TD Garden, so you had to go to the other stop that was on the street. So that was just kind of fighting to get in there. It was
Yeah.
funny because I had work that same day, so I had to get back for work.
What time was workout for you?
I think it was at like 4:30. So I got back in time. I got back at like 2:30, so I was fine. But
Oh,
it was pretty
good
funny.
job. Oh yeah, because it was early. The parade was early. It was quick. I love what Brissett said too. Obviously not on the team anymore, but they should go around like 2 times. Like the fans would love that. Fans
For
would love
sure.
Yeah.
yeah,
For sure.
for sure. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. We really appreciate. We'd love to have you on again sometime. We've had Randy say, "Yo, have Ian come on here with us sometime." So we definitely gotta get you on again. Thank you so much. Yeah, go Celtics. That's all I
Yeah.
got today. Uh,
Definitely anytime.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. Peace.
Easy, y'all.